Hello. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Stephen Berman. Originally graduated with an electrical engineering degree. I have a master's degree from the George Washington University Medical Center, where I studied human physiology, graduated there 40 years ago. Additional PhD credits at the University of Kentucky's Medical Center, and then my doctorate in chiropractic from the Western States Chiropractic College in Portland, Oregon in 1984. Today I'm going to introduce chiropractic as I would to a new patient coming into the office. I'd be taking any patient in and asking them whether they've been to a chiropractic office before and whether they had or not, because the services of chiropractor are very varied. I point out that many people have had chiropractic services for problems with the necks and back. I've heard about that. But I'll be adjusting all the different parts of the body, arms and legs, hands and feet. As a patient comes in here, I'm always thinking they may have things that are current, recent, on top of things that may have been lingering from unadjusted, unattended chiropractic issues that are lingering from childhood, or even as long ago, lingering from our first injury, which is really not a medical issue. Thank goodness not broken or bleeding, but misalignment is well accepted, generally not evaluated for our children, nor treated at the time of the injury. So anybody coming in to see me, I'm always thinking has issues that may go as far back as their first injury at birth, childhood injuries, or issues that are more recent. I'll start by showing these two books here. These are by Dr. Forrester and Dr. Gregory. Dr. Forrester and Dr. Gregory are both medical doctors prior to studying chiropractic. This book here in my right hand is written in 1923. The one in my left hand is from over 100 years ago. It's written in 1910. I'd like to show the pictures that you see here are not unlike the pictures of me giving adjustments I've shown you just prior to this. These were the adjustments, the services of a chiropractor that our ancestors felt were important, that they wanted to have preserved and passed down through time till someone finally comes in to see me as they will today. We've always had women and men in chiropractic from the very beginning. How is it that I'm here at all? What is this 12-letter word, chiropractic? This is Dr. Palmer. Dr. Palmer is our first chiropractor. He's not the first to give an adjustment, but he's the first to write it down. Someplace in a cave someplace, somebody gave a hug. It went pop, typical of a chiropractic adjustment, and that person became the cave chiropractor. But that knowledge was found and lost through the generations until Dr. Palmer comes along. He gives an adjustment. The person gets better. He writes it down now. Gives another adjustment. The person gets better. He writes that down. He writes a book, opens a school. This is his wife and his son, one of our first entering classes. I'll paint a little picture. Dr. Palmer is living on the Mississippi River in 1895 in the city of Davenport, Iowa. So we have, at that time, riverboats going north and south, railroads going east and west. People are riding on the backs of horses in horses and buggies. Now, prior to 1895, many influences have already arrived in America from around the world about health and well-being, about how to help each other function better. With the railroads in 1860s and 1870s, well before Dr. Palmer in 1895, Asian healthcare arrives in America with the Asian railroad workers. From Europe, we have tractions and pills and potions, hot baths and cold baths. We have massages, we have drugs, we have surgeries. We have all kinds of things people do prior to 1895, when then Dr. Palmer comes along and starts providing chiropractic adjustments. And it's the chiropractic adjustment that separates chiropractic from all other services that I've already mentioned. Now, in an office that someone might have been to in modern times, hopefully the chiropractic adjustment is offered, but along with the chiropractic adjustment, all kinds of other services, hot packs and cold packs and tractions and electrical stimulating machines may be offered also in a chiropractic office. But to our ancestors, chiropractic meant only the providing of the chiropractic adjustments, and that's what I do here today for patients that I will be seeing. Dr. Palmer can't take care of all the people who want to see him, so he starts teaching. I emphasize that people come by horse and buggy from far and wide, by riverboat and such. They don't come to town 3 times a week. They come to town 3 times a year. In many offices, it's suggested that for chiropractic to be a success, many treatments per week for many weeks might be necessary, but it could never have been the standard when people came by these transportation means. And again, I hope to always provide a service that's useful for a person, even in a single treatment, that would have been allowing chiropractic fame to spread as it did back in the 1895 era into the early 1900s, when it became so popular and so many people went away from medicine and surgery that the medical doctors, in collusion with the sheriffs up in Iowa, had Dr. Palmer arrested for practicing medicine without license. He defended himself by saying what we do is not taught in medical schools, examined by medical boards, or practiced by medical doctors. So it can't be the right charge, practicing medicine without license. We're practicing chiropractic, a separate and distinct healthcare service, and people are willing to march in the streets, politic in the State House. People know that they now want the services of a chiropractor, just like they want the services of a dentist when they want the services of a dentist, and they want to find either of them in jail. And the chiropractic roundups continued in Texas, where we are right now, until 1949. In Louisiana, the roundups continued until 1974, when the last two chiropractors were arrested. Currently, we're hearing that in Asia, in Taiwan, that chiropractors are being arrested currently. But we expected everywhere that chiropractic is being repressed, services of chiropractic are not available, the backlash will occur as it did in this country, and that the people will continue to march in the streets, politic in the state houses, for the right to have their chiropractic adjustments. The big story in news was not about insurance. For many years, for 75 years, one license law was passed in one state, and the rest of the states were still arresting. Then another state would pass a license law, and the rest of the states are still arresting around it. So for 75 years, it's a perennial story, lost to some of our family histories, or some of our ancestors who did go down and demand that every state house passes a license law, every governor signs that law, so that finally chiropractic is obtained in all the 50 states. But during this period of repression, we have not attracted the very best students to our chiropractic colleges. But for several generations, for many generations, over 100 years now, the very best students have not been encouraged to come to chiropractic colleges by their coaches, their counselors from their high schools and their colleges. So that now we do have chiropractors who've entered our profession that maybe have not been at the level that would have been allowed to stand behind Palmer. This was like an NBA, WNBA team standing behind Palmer. He expected them to get it in the hoop every time, not 3 times a week. He expected them to play from court level, not on top of some electrical stimulating machine or other device. And that's the type of practice I hope to provide continuously now today as we move into the future. But that type of practice has been widely lost now, so that many chiropractic offices, trying their best, do feel that they need to have 3 times a week and use additional tools such as machines. But again, none of that would have been recognized to our ancestors when they went to a chiropractic office. Now, as I mentioned before, chiropractic has always included more than just the necks and backs. Pictures here from 1906 of adjusting the feet. And all this went before me, and this march through time has been accompanied by chiropractors of both genders. As there's a place for everything in life for men and women, there was a place for the lady chiropractors in the jails also, as the chiropractic roundups were indiscriminate and took all the chiropractors into the jails. But the public demanded that male chiropractors as well as the female chiroparts be both allowed to study chiropractic, take care of the patients that came to see them. These are all lady chiropractors. Now, I've shown you obstacles placed in front of chiropractic. When chiropractic has flourished, little known story is Dr. Spear's story. Dr. Spears writes this book in 1925. By 1983, he has a 600-bed chiropractic hospital in the big city of Denver, Colorado, to handle all the people coming to see him and his staff for the same adjustments I've shown you consistently through all these pictures. And only adjustments. And recognizing that the very first injury was, in fact, as early as these pictures in 1925, it was recognized our first injury is a misalignment and deserves attention. Now, take care of all kinds of people. This is a picture of Rose. Rose appears on this cover. She has her natural talents, as we all have our natural talents, but chiropractic problems would have gotten in the way of her expressing her natural talents. By giving Rose adjustments at critical times, she was always able to continue to express her natural talents until she shows up on the cover of this magazine here. I like to say to anyone, I like to see what I can do to help get you onto cover of whatever magazine you'd like to be on, and dancing with whatever stars you'd like to dance with. So with that in mind, that is time to now turn to the patient and find out what brings him in to see me.